this game obviously has a lot of huge implications, not only in the SEC, but also in the CFP. The loser of this game has a less than 15% to make the college football playoff. That's according to the All-State Playoff Predictor. Harry, who do you think has more pressure tonight?
It feels like a 1A, 1B situation because a lot of people are looking at this as an elimination game, but I think there's more pressure on Alabama. You've got the new coach, right? You've already got 2 losses that are bad losses, and you have to go up against this crowd, right? So if you're LSU, I'm feeling pretty good going into tonight.
For me, honestly, I think there's extreme pressure on both of these teams, and I'll start with Alabama. You look at the Nick Saban era no longer being a part of that football program. Kalen LeBoer is now there, 2 losses. It's been a long time since they've seen 2 losses at this juncture in the season, so extreme pressure there. I think a successful season, if we're being real about it for Alabama, is at least making the college football playoffs. They cannot do that if they don't win this game tonight. And for LSU, they're looking for a playoff appearance under Brian Kelly. In his 3 years, it's his 3rd year right now, he has not had that opportunity. So getting a win tonight versus Alabama will put them in a prime position to be able to make the college football playoffs. That's why I feel like for both teams, there's extreme pressure.
Oh, they're going to be on Brian Kelly's behind if you don't win this game.
I was going to say, how much harder does it make
you guys
his
going to be on his behind. Right. Yeah, you feel my boy.
What do you think that means if Brian Kelly doesn't make it to the playoffs in year 3?
Yeah, I think that's
They're talking about their coach.
Yeah,
That's
I think
crazy.
that spells trouble.
So a lot of obviously on the line for him too. This is a night game though in Death Valley.
That's crazy.
Listen, I saw side guys. No, never mind. I'm not even gonna talk about it. Okay, this is a night game in Death Valley. Obviously, this is a hard place to play. How much more does that impact this Alabama team?
Well, a lot, because when you look at this place in Death Valley, like I mentioned last week, I came here in 1997, and I felt the stadium shaking. I felt the stadium rocking because I heard these are the best fans in the country.
That's right.
But I will tell you, for Alabama being the visiting team, it's all on the coaching staff, right? How you prepare for this week. They had a bye week last week along with LSU. You got to pump in crowd noise. You got to prepare these players for what they're going to experience here tonight, which is loudness on top of loudness. A few years ago, Alabama came in here and in overtime, they lost that matchup. You don't want to repeat yourself, so you want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. You want to cross your T's and dot your I's. So pump in that crowd noise. You might have to go silent count sometimes. Coaches on the side, they normally hold up signs for the wide receivers to be able to understand what's going on. It's going to be hard to hear. So you're going to make sure, from a communication standpoint, that you're on point across the board.
And I just want to make something clear.
What?
So Christine went to Clemson, everybody?
I did.
Let them know. Hold on.
There was a sign out there that said Clemson is the real Death Valley. Let's be for real.
Who's the real Death Valley?
Who's the real Death Valley?
It's LSU. That's right.
Listen. Death Valley and Clemson was first. Just FYI. I'm just going to say that. Right? That's where we're going to leave that out there. But I do want to ask you, because this Death Valley doesn't bode well for Alabama. They're 1-2 on the road this season. What has been the difference between them playing at home and on the road?
For Alabama?
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of it for them has been not continuing drives, and at least in terms of the Vanderbilt game, they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. So I think when you look at what this LSU team does really well, especially on 3rd down, they are one of the best teams in the country at extending drives, especially on 3rd and long. And I think that is going to help them, especially against the Alabama team. They've just been inconsistent. They don't have the same drive that they've seen under Coach Saban, the GOAT. You guys know that. He won y'all a national championship, right?
Yeah.
So I think that on the road, especially when you play in a place like this, everything that you try to do becomes more difficult. I mean, you know that from experience, HT.
So there are 3 things that stand out to me with Alabama and their 2 losses versus Tennessee and versus Vandy, both schools in the state of Tennessee. Number 1 is the penalties. 20 penalties, 21 to be exact, for 172 yards in those 2 matchups. If you're not a disciplined football team, you're not going to be able to win on the road. Number 2, the turnover margin. They had 2 turnovers versus Vandy, an interception and a fumble, and they also had 2 turnovers versus Tennessee. The number 1 thing that offensive coordinators say to their entire unit the beginning of the week for offensive must is you got to protect the football. And then number 3, you got to be able to sustain drives. Alabama has struggled sustaining drives. They're 6 for 20 on 3rd downs, which is 30%. So if you can't sustain drives, if you don't take care of the football, if you're not disciplined, it's no wonder they have 2 losses right now on the road.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about the receivers, HG, shall we? LSU's Kyron Lacey. What kind of problems do you expect him to give Alabama's secondary?
Well, number 1, Kyron Lacey is a boot boy. He's a boot boy, man. He's from the state of Louisiana. He's 6'2", 215 pounds. He's strong at the point of attack. He can play in the slot. They're going to line him up to 3 receivers. At number 3 inside, he's going to be aggressive catching the football. He's going to go across the middle, ladies and gentlemen. He can line up wide. He can beat you deep out wide. He has strong hands. Man, Harry Lyles going to take the top off today, man. He's one of my favorite receivers in college football. Number 1, because he plays with passion. He plays with aggression. And you know it means something to him.
I love that you were saying that to the crowd specifically. There's one guy in this crowd that has a sign that says Williams. He's only 17. Ryan Williams is the other receiver that we're keeping our eye on in this matchup specifically. What kind of problems does he give LSU secondary?
You know, the interesting thing is this LSU secondary is built for him. Right? Like, this is the one thing that they do well. A lot of people talk about their offense being, stronger in terms of the pass than the run. Well, their defense is sort of built the same way. They'll defend the pass all day, right? That was their trouble against Texas A&M, was that the thing that A&M did well was run the football. So this defensive backfield in HD, it's kind of similar to the receivers. You know, at LSU, you're going to have great receivers and you're going to have great defensive backs. So Ryan Williams might look 17 years old, sit down on the football field.
Christine, hold on. Let me crowd check him really quick.
Okay.
Let me crowd check him really quick, Christine. Hold on. If you love Harry Lyles, make some noise. If you love Aaron Anderson, make some noise. If you love Swinson sacking the quarterback, make some noise. If you love Caden Durham running the football for touchdowns, make some noise. And here's the last question. Where's the best school in the country?
Alabama fan just sitting in the middle of it saying roll tide. I love it. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about this matchup later in the show, but first we want to hear from the players about what's at stake here in Death Valley tonight.